had a website, but it wasn't, it was almost like a vanity project back then. Now it is like an entrance fee to have a business.
Good. Hey, I wanted to let you know that the Google guarantee, the Google ads, man, I'm getting 12 to 16 calls a week.
My goal is at least do 10 to 15 more years, grow it up, sell it for 40, 50 million, maybe more.
Hi there, I'm Sam, an engineer with Topline Pro, and this week on Titan Talks, we're talking to Joe Kellems from Honeybee Blues in the Pittsburgh area, Pennsylvania. Joe, thanks for coming on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Sam. Thanks for having me on.
It's really great to have you, and you're certainly my first sort of specialist of this type. So for listeners out there who might not be familiar with what you do, do you want to just give an overview of your business, the services you offer, and then, yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Honeybee Blues, we specialize in primarily honeybee removal. And what that kind of encompasses is, something you see the viral videos or something you see on the TV with big giant bee's nest, beehive, I should say, inside of the wall, or ceiling or floor, wherever that beehive may be. So I come in and extract them wherever they might be. I use various different tools to be able to find them and locate them and things like that. So that's really what our main focus is the honeybee removal and relocation. I try to get that species or DNA line of bees to continue on by providing them a home in my apiary after I remove them from whatever structure they may be in. So yeah, that's kind of our goal and our ambitions that we try to do. We also go and do yellow jackets, bald-faced hornets, anything really stinging, flying stinging pests, we kind of take care of.
Okay, so very cool. And how did you get into the business? Where did this come from for you?
So I had originally started out with a business called Veteran Property Services, which is I'd started out doing like general handyman work. My background, my whole life has been in general maintenance, building maintenance, things like that. So I went out on my own in 2020 and started my own business doing handyman stuff. And then shortly after, I started doing beekeeping, and I just kind of went with my local area and their needs. I kind of saw people needing bee removal, specialized things that, this is something that isn't to be taken lightly. I've definitely found that to be true. Like some people think, oh, it's just a bee, just bees inside of a wall, just cut it open and take them out. And there's a lot more that goes into it than that. If you want to do it the right way, there obviously you can cut it open and spray them and that's it and you're out. But in order to save the honeybees, there's a lot more things that go into it than just cutting that wall open. So I've kind of used my specialized skills from the maintenance field, and I kind of merged them together. I started just doing, 1 or 2 removals a year, to now I'm taking, I think this year I've definitely hit 50 or more.
Okay, I have so many questions to ask you. Honestly, I'm fascinated by this. I want to just talk about the bees. I want to have you be very clear, like
Absolutely.
You're talking about them as relocating them. You take some of them back to your apiary.
Correct.
Bees are friends, not foes. Is that what you would say?
Yes, that is my viewpoint. Even hornets, yellow jackets, they all have a purpose.
So the honeybees that you relocate, what happens after you remove them from the wall? Where do they go? Where do you take them? How do you integrate them into what sounds like kind of the other half of your business, which is keeping the bees?
Correct. And the that part right now is more of a hobby, but that's my
Mhm.
long-term goal. I have a very big passion and interest in the beekeeping aspect of it all. I'm involved in a program called Heroes to Hives, which is a program for veterans to transition. It helps. I mean, there's a lot of very good research out there that can argue that um, beekeeping can help with PTSD. Um, I
Wow.
I truly believe that. I can attest to it. To be honest, I truly believe um, there's frequencies that the bees can give off that soothe and help uh, you reach an inner peace that is very hard to explain. Um,
You
so
seem like a very centered guy, so
yeah,
kind of tracks. I do want to try to back it out and talk a little bit just about the administration of your business. You said it's still early. You kind of laid out like a future plan. You said it's kind of still early in your journey. How are you keeping up with getting jobs in the queue, and marketing yourself, stuff like that? Like, where are the majority of your jobs coming from?
well, right now my main struggle is it's winter. There's no
Right.
bees. I am still getting some yellow jacket calls. I don't
Okay.
know if it's really being generated through Topline per se, but I think it's still the influence of Topline being on the Google, the being
Hmm.
word of mouth, things like that. Um, Before this, though, I mean everything was just flowing. I mean, I kind of got Topline. If I would have had Topline from April until now, I sky's the limit. I
Okay.
mean, what this me having I I see the potential with what this is going to be able to do in April. Like the the way that you guys have been able to get my business seen on Google and how fast it's happened. I'll give you an example. So my cousin, my wife's cousin, her husband owns a decking company called DW Construction,
Okay.
or maybe even DW Decking. Um, so right when I got Top Line, he was in the process. He had started 3 months prior to start on his own to get seen on Google. So he had started a
Yeah.
website for free. He had started doing some stuff, but I he didn't know this, but like I have some pretty good knowledge of the SEO concept and the ways to be able to be seen. Like if I were to go out and I had the time, I have no doubt in my mind that I could have success rather quickly from the knowledge that I have from the SEO platform.
Yeah.
But I don't have the time. I don't have I don't have the resources available to me to make it not a time restraint. So I don't have that energy to put into it. But I still have that knowledge. So I asked him some things that he has done, and he had barely scratched the surface. He's really fighting. He was fighting with Google at the time, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And I
Let us
mentioned,
fight for you.
yeah, and that's what I'd say. I'd mentioned that I'd spoken to you guys like a week before that, and I was in talks, and you guys had, because at that time, you were reaching out to me for VPS, my other business, and
Okay.
I was really getting Honeybee Blues off the ground, and I really wanted to jump on it and get it going, which I did. I think June-ish is right about when we got it, but that's like the bottom end of the big bubble of honeybee season. Like that's like I'm still getting calls, and I was still getting swarm calls, but it was just because of the type of year that we were having. If we would have got it in April, March, I seriously think you would see numbers that would just make your jaw drop. Like, holy crap. I mean,
Okay.
and not just that. I mean, I've the news stories that I was able to get last year. I think is also just a scratch on the surface. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go for it heavy again. That's free marketing. I got so much business just
Yeah.
by going and doing a job for free.
So
Like,
can we talk about the news stories? Because I've seen them on your website, and I think that's going to be very interesting to listeners. Yeah.
absolutely. What would you like to know? I mean, I guess
So just like about the job and how it came about and like what it meant for your business.
so it's kind of funny because there's a couple. So my very first story was for a hornet removal,
Okay.
which is that other aspect of it that I said there let's rehash. And me and my business partner at the time, we went and did this job, and we were on the news for it because this family had uh, called a pest removal company to come out, and they had quoted them $400 to remove this bald faced hornet nest. And I saw it on the news, and I reached out to the news reporter, and I said, I am starting to get into this business a little bit. I have a different angle for these than the traditional pest control guy. I'd really like to kind of get my story out there. I really think it's interesting, and I think it could drive some potential to the story, and I can help this family out by getting rid of these hornets for free. And I kind of just put that out there to them, and they reached back out. We went out and we did the job. It went horrible. I I had a process where we were doing it where I would get a bag, and we'd put the bag around the nest, and then I would scrape it off into the nest, into the bag, and my old business partner would close the bag up, and we would tie it up, and we'd put it on dry ice, and that would be how we stored them until we got them back to my house.
Okay.
And they'd end up asphyxiating from that. But so
Oh,
when we
yikes.
did that job, I didn't anticipate an electrical wire being in the middle of the nest. So when I found that wire, I had to bump the nest. And when I did that, it fell off and fell on my business partner's face. Like he had a beach suit on,
Okay.
but it fell on him instead of into the bag. And this was all being recorded by the
Oh
news.
my
And
goodness.
so they recorded all of this, and it was just, and the nest just fell right to the ground, and it just, and I talked my business partner down, calm, nothing bad happened. I was the only one that got stung. He didn't even get stung. I got hit. He didn't.
Wow.
But everything was good. Nothing bad happened. And they got the story out there. We got tons of business. They say bad publicity is good publicity, and it's true. That was great. I mean, there's a lot of people that comment like, these fools don't even know what they're doing. They drop the nest, and it's like, yeah. But out of all of the other jobs that I did, I probably got 175 jobs from that. Just that,
Wow.
and out of all of those, I probably didn't drop another one. There may be two, if any. Like, so yeah. Granted, the one that I got seen on TV for dropped, but not really. But I knew the news anchor, so that's where I got the contact for the news anchor. And that season went by. The next year we did landscaping primarily, and didn't really do. We did some honeybees, but not a lot, and kind of went dormant for that year, which led us to last year. And January, I had decided we're going all in on honeybees. The business out there's just so much. There's enough business out there that we can crack this and make money from
You mentioned like the electrical wire in the hive. What
Correct.
what are the other kind of obstacles that when you get onto a job that like what are the things that make you go, oh no, this is going to be a much bigger issue? Like stuff like the electrical wire or maybe just the sheer number or size of the hive.
Correct. So it's a lot of it has come to the location of the hive.
Uh-huh.
So like picture in like on a house where the first like the basement foundation block meets like the siding, like the a finished siding on the house. So right there in between
Yeah.
that floor space is where the wood framing will meet that concrete, where the wood framing sits on top of that concrete.
Yeah.
A lot of times in that area, um, there's enough space for bees to get in. And when they do, they, depending on how well insulated that area is, the bees will just make what they can where they can, and it doesn't matter. So I found where they'll get into one corner and they're very visibly on the outside, they look like they're on the first floor. Like they should be in the middle of the first floor looking like they're going up to the second floor. But when I get in, yeah, there's a little bit of that area that's on that first floor, but the main part of that hive is actually in the floor.
Yeah.
So I'll get in there thinking that's where it is. Nope, it's all the way in there. And sometimes there will be the electrical wire going through it. There will be an air duct being right next to it. I haven't really seen them build like up and around an air duct, but they usually get to the duct and that's where they say, okay, that's where we're stopping. I've seen them there's just so many. If they can get to the area, they can build in it. They love chimneys. Chimneys are the number one spot, and I've come to find that that's mainly because of how they built chimneys back in like the 70s, 60s, 70s. With the houses that are not out there now, they brought in like a cookie cutter fireplace and placed it in there and built around it. And when they built around it, they left a void space in there, and the bees, they can live in there forever because of how warm it gets. Like I've probably come across, I mean, I've definitely come across colonies that I just looked at the homeowner and I said, I can't tell you how long they've been here. I can tell you how long these active bees have been here, but because like I've come into where there's an active, the active hive is over here, but then there's 4 foot of inactive comb over here. So they abandoned that comb for whatever reason, because that comb will become so old, brittle, nasty, just because they're using it. They're flying outside, all the dirt, everything that's feet, all the pollen, everything makes that wax unusable eventually. So they'll abandon it, build over here. When they build over there, that's where that main call. So who knows? It could be 5 generations of bees that have lived. I truly have no idea.
I imagine it makes for some pretty big reactions from homeowners when you show them what you actually took out.
Yeah. Yep. And it's funny because of the degree of reaction, because you get the homeowners that are like the people that just bought the house. And then you have the homeowners that have owned the house for the past 50 years. And then their parents owned it before that. So the reaction between the two is very interesting, because the people that have been there forever, it's like another day. They're not very surprised. But the homeowners that just bought the house, they're like, I never could have imagined something like this could be possible. And I said, yeah, it's very possible. And I tell a lot of people, you're lucky, as crazy as it sounds, you're lucky that this was a honeybee hive instead of a yellow jacket nest, because a yellow jacket nest, if it's as big as some of the honeybee nests that I've taken out, I'm afraid of those when they're that big. Like it's terrifying. I need another, like I won't do one of those jobs unless I have another person with me, because it's scary.
That is really interesting.
Very intriguing. It's crazy.
Okay. So coming up on time here. Just a couple more sort of fun questions. Your logo on your website for those of you who are listening, you can see it on Joe's website, honeybeebluespgh.com. But it's like a bunch of honeybees playing in like a blues band. So I got to ask, like, are you a musician? Like, did you just think it was a fun idea? Where did the logo come from?
I am kind of, I have played, I'm not I wouldn't say I'm an active musician, but I have played. It really, to be honest, our name is, my name came from a customer.
Okay.
We were, his name's actually, I'll actually throw him a shout out. Brandon Johnson was his name. He does towing out of the Pittsburgh area. And I was doing a removal from his girlfriend's house out in Pittsburgh. I think it might be his wife now. And we were there, and I was talking to him about the business, and I said, this is the part, because there's always a point in my job where I have to either deliver good news or I have to deliver bad news.
Okay.
And the overwhelming majority of the time, unfortunately, is I have to deliver people bad news.
Okay.
So that's where, like, and I had gotten to that point at that job. And I had said to him, I said, unfortunately, this is where we get to at every job. And I was like, I can't find them yet. So that's the bad news of this all.
That's the bad news. Okay.
I was like, I know where they are. I know they're here. I know I can find them, but I don't exactly know where they are, but I'll find them. And so then he was like, we just kind of stumbled upon Honeybee Blues. And he was like, man, you guys just got some blues. You're the Honeybee Blues. Got the Honeybee Blues, man. I'll tell you what. And I was like, hey, I like it. And I told him, I was like, I might go with that for my business name. If I do, I'll give you the shout out. And
all right,
stay true to that.
But he has been shouted out.
Yeah, and I kind of ran with it, and the logo part of it all really just came from trying to come up with a good logo that got people to kind of turn their heads and be like, why is that bee playing the saxophone? Like, what's going on?
You know, I like it too, because it kind of goes along with what we were saying earlier. Like, it doesn't paint them in a negative light. It's not like a big red X over like the beehive or something. Like,
correct.
shows them in a positive light, and I feel like it kind of communicates to people like, this guy knows how to deal with bees. Like,
yeah,
he knows
and I view them in a positive light.
Awesome. All right, one more question for you. You know, looking through your photos, y'all should go check out Joe's photos, because they're actually a lot of really cool. There's a lot of cool media. There's like the videos of the hives. There's the is it like the infrared shots or the thermal shots showing like the activity. And then I've also seen there's a lot of photos of like products that you've made or, you know, harvested from your bees. I wanted to ask about those. Like, what do you think is the coolest bee product? And are you kind of expanding your business into that area, or is that more of a hobby?
Yeah, so it's kind of both, to be honest. I've kind of fallen into in love with the wax. I really love beeswax. It's very interesting. Just the different qualities, different things you can do with it. I do, not to drive any type of attention from the website itself too, but also we do have a TikTok, which is that has a lot of the videos in live action from some of the things that I've done, but also
Awesome.
on the Facebook we have a lot of the live shots because I like to go live and kind of get interaction. That's where I really want to see the business go towards. I'd like to be like, not, I wouldn't say an influencer, but a creator where I'm able to go live with these bee removals, and people can hop on and interact, ask me questions while I'm doing it. I love the interaction. I love being able to ask questions or be able to answer questions that anybody may have. You know, that's really where I like to see it to go. But as far as like the products and things that I've done with the beeswax, I've tried candles, I've done lip balms, I've done beard wax. That's really where
Ah,
I'm actually trying to put all of the wax into right now. I am working on my mustache right now to try to
if you're listening and not watching, Joe has an incredible beard. So I think it's a good promotion for the beard wax. Just before we go, I just want to ask, you have any sort of closing comments about, this business that you're in, running your business, for listeners that you'd like to share?
um yeah, I mean, just it's really a niche of a business that I've
Yeah.
found really within another business, within another um, category, I guess you could say. It's an entrepreneurial world out there, and I really think that people need to have that mindset when they go into business. Don't kind of fall into that mindset of this is the only way that I have to run my business, and it's the only way that my business is going to be able to be successful. Um, that's not true. You can use your business to be able to crack other fields of business that you may have never thought imaginable. Um, it's just having that open mind and being able to kind of explore those areas and not being afraid to do it. Um, that's really what I can
That's
suggest
great.
to any other business owners out there that's listening. Anybody that's kind of afraid to take that step. I can say, like, honestly, Topline uh, with Honeybee Blues has really been able to like Honeybee Blues went from unsearchable to being able to be found on Google within 2 weeks. And a lot of it had to do with what Topline allotted to me. And it also had a lot to do with what I did with Topline. Using Topline to your advantage is a part of it as well. Like, a lot of people need to getting into this with Topline. It's a partnership. You have to commit to your business as well. And if you don't, you're not going to get a lot of the results that Topline has to offer. And that's really where I think a lot of businesses might fall down, I guess, or trip up. They expect a lot of certain things to happen just from Topline in itself, but that's you also have to be able to give yourself to it too. You have to put your name out there. You have to tell people about it. You have to update that website. You have to do the certain things that you guys ask from us. And also, you want to be able to make your website better. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
My advice for anybody out there: don't go into it with a closed mind. Be an open-minded entrepreneur. It doesn't hurt. Yeah,
That's perfect. I think that's a perfect way to end a really fascinating conversation. That's Joe Kellems from Honeybee Blues in the Pittsburgh area. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm Sam with Topline Pro, and see everyone later.